Hello and welcome to Shared Screens TGA Prediction. That's the Game Awards, if you don't know. Joining me as part of the Shared Screens, we got Brett, we got Josh, we got Jordan, and on the ones and twos, Chance, who may or may not be by his computer. I did not catch. Oh, he just muted. Cool.
He's putting on his best Boba Fett shirt.
Best Dragon Age shirt.
Yeah.
One of those are probably true. One of those are probably true. And my name is Austin. I will be your host. So today we're doing exactly what I said. We're voting on who we think will win said categories of the Game Awards. It's probably going to be a long show. We're going to do our best to shorten it up. So how about don't go on and on, people. Come on, let's keep this short and sweet. We got Josh tallying up all the points. So if there are any discrepancies or fights, take it up with him. He'll find him in the streets, and
I'll fight y'all.
He'll fight him. All of them. So, do we have any predictions off the top? We're going to do 3 predictions for what we think will be announced at the Game Awards in terms of announcements. Does anyone want to start said announcements, and then we'll get into the voting categories?
Yeah, I'll go first. Kind of because you brought it up before recording.
Just one.
I do think
one round robin, and then we'll get into some voting categories.
Okay. Yeah, I think BioWare is going to show Dragon Age, and it's going to be another short teaser with no concrete info of what the game's actually going to be like.
Another teaser. Haven't we got like 3 teasers in a row?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, no. They're going to show it. They're going to show it again, but it's not going to be anything substantial, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to come in and fight Brett, and I'm gonna say BioWare gonna come in, show off Mass Effect instead. Mass Effect, the better franchise between the two that they own. So, Mass Effect from BioWare, and again, like literally what they do every time, they're just gonna the developer diaries. They're gonna show shots around Edmonton, and developers talk about the game. Maybe 2 pieces of concept art shown. No date, no nothing. But that's it.
Cool. Jordan, you got anything?
I think we get the big rumored PlayStation remake revealed. And I'll even go as far to say, I think the rumor will be confirmed that it's going to be Chrono Cross. I have no care as to whether or not it is. I just want to have that extra point if it's true, that if the Chrono Cross rumors are actually true.
Jordan, I'm pretty sure a trailer dropped for what that project is today. I could be wrong.
Was it a trailer? I saw like a music thing going on.
Maybe that's it. Do you want to keep your stance? Do you want to keep your vote?
Let me do some fact checking over on Twitter.com, the most reliable of sources.
Okay, I will go to buy you a little bit of time. So, my prediction is going to be we're going to see something. Don't know what it is. It could be a teaser, another teaser. It could be more in-depth stuff. I don't think it'll be in-depth stuff, but of Senua's Sacrifice sequel. I don't remember what that's called, but yeah, I think we'll see something about that. Whether it's just them bringing it up on screen again and they talk about their audio stuff again, because that's always intriguing to me.
Right.
Yeah, but it will be at the show.
I like that.
Jordan?
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like today some type of trailer for something called. There's a crossover going on between Another Eden, which is not a game I'm familiar with, or franchise I'm familiar with. I don't even know it's a game. And Chrono Cross, like there's some sort of crossover, but the game itself has not been confirmed because the IGN tweet goes, "We don't know if the reported Chrono Cross remake is real or not, but if it is, we hope it looks like this crossover."
Okay, that might even be more reason for you to put that in as your prediction.
Yeah, so I'm doubling down.
He's doubling down on it. Okay.
All right, double down. All or nothing.
Chance, if you are by your computer, do you have a prediction of what will be announced?
I don't have anything worthwhile, really, to predict, but yep, that's it.
Okay, he's not even going to try for those bonus points. All right. So the first category that we have to vote on is debut indie. Let me pull that up. Which one did you say?
I thought we were going top down, so we're starting game of the year and then best direction, best narrative. Not working our way up via best debut. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you asked. I think you asked me that question before we started recording, and I probably gave you the wrong answer. So you can blame me.
I was like, "Are we doing order?" And you said order that way. not this week, but it works.
So-
It works. Best
Sure.
debut.
Okay, yeah, best debut indie up for the nominations are The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Sable, and Valheim. Does anyone want to chime in on who they think will win?
Sure.
Yeah.
Based off, 'cause I'll be transparent, haven't played these games, but I have heard a lot of people's reactions to this. And I'm going to predict that Kenna or Kena, have we ever confirmed which one it is?
It's
Kana.
Kana.
Okay. Kena, I think Kena Bridge of Spirits will win simply because it's the most traditional video gamey type of game that's listed. I'm not saying I think that makes it better or worse. I just think other people will be compelled to vote that way because it feels like a AAA type of experience.
Sure, I can totally see that. I am also going to vote for Kana. I'm going to be boring. I just think that's the best one, the most notable one out of these 5 of like terms of what people have talked about this year. Valheim had a moment. I will put that. Valheim had a moment. Forgotten City is something is on my radar and I really want to play it, but I think Kana will take home this award.
Yeah, I am gonna also vote for Kana.
Damn.
Yeah, like I wanted to zag a little bit and go with Valheim because like when it came out, it exploded, but it was super early access, and I feel like it's kind of fell off since it's kind of like a live servicey game that they're continually updating, and I don't know if that would do any favors for it in the voting, like in the awards. So Kana came out, it was like a solid 8 out of 10 game. A lot of people liked it. Looks awesome. And so I'm going to go with Kana as well.
I am gonna zig here, and I'm going to go with The Artful Escape. Both like Austin said, Valheim went, but I think in terms of like both kind of platform exclusive games, The Artful Escape, of course, had that big Game Pass push. So I feel like more people played it, whether it be on PC or Xbox. And then, Kana, I've heard a lot of good things, but I also heard it's like it plays like a really good PS2 game. Like it feels a little outdated, so I feel like that might detract some people. But like everyone I've heard talk about The Artful Escape is just they do nothing but rant there. So I'm gonna go with Artful Escape on that one.
Sure. Okay. Chance, are you chiming in on that, or are you just hang out? Okay.
You're saying it?
Sorry, trying to find the unmute button. No, I hadn't played any of these games, so I'm not gonna contribute to this one.
Okay.
But
Fair enough. Next on the list, Josh, is best multiplayer. Does that align with what you have?
And now that I'm reading it bottom to top, it does. Yeah.
Okay. So up as the nominations, we have Back 4 Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim again getting another nom. So anyone want to chime in first on who they think will win best multiplayer?
I don't know. It's difficult because like a lot of these games, because just the way the multiplayer cycle works is they come and they go. And so like although I really enjoyed Knockout City and it was a huge moment, like that game's very much fallen off. But the game that still is in people's conversations is It Takes Two. I mean, literally getting resurrected by the lawsuit that's happening or the trademark. And so and because it's not traditional, like I think that gives it a little bit of a boost because it's not like 10-player PvP. So I'm gonna go It Takes Two on that one. Plus, great game, by the way.
I'll chime in. I mean, I could be just mistaken on this, but I think New World still has a lot of hype around it. I could be wrong.
That's true.
But my vote will be for New World. I think because you mentioned it's not a traditional co-op. It Takes Two. I think that the fact that it is just a 2-player co-op experience, I think that might help. I think that might hurt the overall multiplayer experience for what people are looking for this category. My personal vote would be Knockout City, just because that blew me away and surprised me so much when I jumped in. But yeah, my vote will be for New World.
Sounds good.
Man, Yeah, each game has like a pretty good case if you wanted to
Right.
craft like a narrative around
It's a good category.
what would win. I think I'm gonna go with Monster Hunter Rise because when that game came out, it blew up. It sold pretty well, and yeah, I just remember a lot of people talking about it, and I think for some reason because this category is so contentious, like I just think it's not going to go to like they're like to me there's no heavy favorite here, even though New World is like an MMO and that's probably the most active engagement game here. I feel like the Monster Hunter brand and Rise just being such a standout success is going to make that I think what's going to end up winning.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with Josh on this one. I also think it's gonna be It Takes Two. Part of it is the same, where I think the fact it's not, when you say multiplayer game and you imagine like these different types of shooters or maybe a racing game, this isn't that. This is really the almost single player type of experience, but it's showing how adding a person that has to be playing with you, it's not a multiplayer mode, can enhance the type of story that they're telling. And I think that it's like we need to stop going with what our default ideas are of these genre names as gaming starts to evolve and stuff. That multiplayer doesn't just mean competitive multiplayer. It can mean a story that requires two people to tell. And I personally don't think it's going to be getting some of the bigger awards. So I think this is their way of still being like, it's a fucking awesome game.
Right. I like it. I like it. All right.
Chance, you just let me know if you want to chime in on any of these games. That way I don't have to.
Out of this list, it's Back for Blood, personally. I had a lot of fun with Back for Blood during the beta. I never picked it up when it fully released, but I'll tell you what, those couple weekends or whatever it was, had a good time. That's all.
Okay. Bold choice, but I respect it.
Yeah, that game kind of let me down when leading up to it. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be dope. And then in practice, I was like, this kind of boring. But that's okay.
Same. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, moving on to best role playing. Up for the noms, we have Cyberpunk 2077, which is surprising to me. Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Tales of Arise. I'll start this one off. I think it's gonna be Tales of Arise, and I think it's gonna be easily that game. I've heard so many good things about Tales of Arise, and I could be mistaken, but I think this might be the only place it's nominated. There might be one or two more, but I think there's a lot of fanfare around that game, so I think that will get the win here.
I'm gonna go Cyberpunk. I just feel like,
bro, stop.
You know, it got shelved. Well, I mean, like it didn't make it last year because of the release date, and then it also, even if it did come out within the within the eligible time period, it wouldn't have been shown up. But like now that there's been some patches and some like the aftermath of that game, I feel like it's gonna get a pity vote. It's gonna get a pity vote, and we're all just gonna say Cyberpunk. And Keanu Reeves is presenting, and it's just the popular vote. It's just the popular vote. So
is it the popular vote, Josh?
Are you serious?
I think it is.
Are you serious with this vote?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If he is. I'm 50-50.
Yeah, I think just
All right, I'm going to come off the bench here. I'm also voting Cyberpunk 2077, and I think it's going to win. Dude, that was a good game. Like, I played it on PC, and it didn't have that many issues, and it was a dope game. Like, the ending did leave something to be desired, but ultimately, I think it delivered on what it was trying to accomplish.
Do we think it deserves a win?
Yes.
No.
Okay. All right.
Over games
Hot
like
take.
Tales of Arise
My hot
and
take.
Scarlet Nexus and
It is a hot take.
Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, for sure. All these games
has to be. I played the version that wasn't buggy. Is kind of it.
I was just preferencing that my experience may have been different than somebody who didn't prepare properly and tried to play it on a PS4. That's all I'm saying. I went out of my way to build a PC for this game, okay? So I'm allowed to say this.
I waited until PS5 to play the game, and I had a few glitches here and there. I feel like hard cuts or whatever, hard crashes. But for overall, I was like I didn't experience a bunch of clutter or crap. But because of all the fanfare or lack thereof around the game, I can't vote for it. I can't.
Like, I'm not trying to take away from anybody's opinion here, but if you say you didn't prepare properly,
It is a super not cool thing to say, I admit.
no, like, I mean, I'm not saying anything, not knocking against that. I just feel like that just was humorous to me a little bit.
Jordan,
Sorry, poor people. What?
No, dude, I'm poor too, all right? I put my money away. I saved up all of 2020 to buy a 3080. I got in the fucking lines.
What you're saying is you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps.
I did not say that. You said that.
No,
them stimmies came in handy, bro.
fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Based off the public reception, I feel like those who played Scarlet Nexus are really, really, really going to be going for Scarlet Nexus. But as far as general public opinion go, I'm going Tales of Arise.
Mhm.
I think of the kind of JRPGs that got more mainstream attention this year, the Tales of series, this is like their Final Fantasy VII in a way, where it's just become like most people play this, not even considering the grander franchise it's a part of, and that is just a good game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on, my Cyberpunk stuff, I just want to say that like, I enjoyed my time with that game, but I can't vote for it. Like my guilty conscience, I can't do it. I can't. It wasn't a game of the year material for me. Is the thing too. Maybe it was my hype going into it. I expected a game of the year material type game, and it wasn't that for me.
It was everyone's hype going into it. Like that was there was no way that even if the bugs weren't there was no way it was going to live up to people's expectations. Like it was just way too overhyped, and then the bugs, and then the publisher stuff, and then the developers stuff like coming out afterwards. Like it's kind of a sad tale, but I feel like if you played it and you actually stuck with it, like a lot of people that did really love that game.
I liked it. I enjoyed my time. Just
and I feel like that makes it more accessible than like maybe a JRPG like Tales. So that's why I gotta go with it. But Brett, what's your vote here?
So I was gonna start off my vote with like Cyberpunk, and then I was gonna be like, nah, not really. But we had two people vote for it, so I'm a little shook right now, to be honest.
Damn.
We know what's hot takes if I agree with Brett. Okay, there's got to be two hot takes in here if I'm agreeing with
True.
I feel like Tales of Arise is gonna win this. Kind of like just echoing everything Jordan said. Like it's the game and the franchise that kind of broke out beyond the fandom that has appreciated all the games over the years. But yeah, nothing to take away from Nexus, which got good buzz, and the people who played it loved it. Shout out to Bo, who is not here with us right now.
Yeah, you made it sound like you died.
Right now, I said right now. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5, like kind of same thing. People who played it, I think, really had a good time with it. It just didn't gather that mainstream appeal. Although I am concerned about Monster Hunter Rise. Like, I don't really think of that as an RPG, but I know it sold well, and a lot of people loved it, and it kind of broke out a little bit too. So if Tales doesn't win, I think Monster Hunter would win, but I'm going with Tales of Arise.
Okay.
Before we move on, Bo is very much alive.
Just said right now.
No, that's just Austin and I being assholes and being like, rest in peace, dude. Like, later.
Pour one out.
All right.
Yeah.
Next on the list, we've got Best Action Adventure. The noms are Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which I am shocked is not nominated for Game of the Year. Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. Anyone want to go first and jump on this one?
Yeah, I will go first. It's Metroid Dread, hands down. The gameplay is super smooth. The abilities are awesome. It's just so freaking fun to play. And so I think when I think of action, I think of Metroid Dread in every sense of the word. It's just an awesome game to play. Great action, great set pieces, all that stuff.
Okay. I will go next. My personal vote is Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if that will overtake Ratchet and Clank for the overall consensus. So my vote on what's going to win is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
This one's tough because there's a lot of games here that I'd love to win, and I'm a huge fan of all these franchises. I do think I'm gonna go Resident Evil Village on this one, just because like it has the adventure aspect in terms of like traveling around the village and actually like exploring versus a lot of these other games. Versus like Ratchet and Clank, I love. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's better suits the best action game as opposed to best action adventure. So I gotta go with Resident Evil. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil. So
Fair enough. Jordan?
I'm going with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy because that game was a sleeper hit. It started out being like, okay, like this is good for a Guardians game. Like it's solid. I get what they're doing. And just the more that game went on, the better it got in its story. But the gameplay is also really, really fun. I remember in our E3 reacts, I was like, kind of like, why are you only playing as Peter Quill? But then I kind of got the idea of like they want to put that burden of leadership on you, and it's really there. And that game went to places I did not think it would. And I think because it's not nominated for some of the bigger awards, it'll also get this one, and then Ratchet and Clank might win some other bigger awards down the line. So my vote's for Guardians of the Galaxy, personally, and my prediction.
Totally. Yeah, I was shocked by how much I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. Like
Yeah,
I said,
no.
it's my personal vote for this category, and I voted for it. But I just think Ratchet and Clank is gonna take it. But I was shocked by how well the narrative was written in that game and how they balanced all the characters and got
Yeah.
even screen time and the depth in characters, especially Drax, which
Yeah,
is someone
no.
I didn't expect to see that kind of depth in. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time with that game.
Yeah, without spoilers, I think this game made me like really dislike movie Drax because he's not used as well as he could be.
Sure. Yeah. The only
Yeah.
part about this game about Guardians I didn't like was the flying segments because there was like one good segment and then never again. I was like, cool.
Yeah,
All right.
they did it once.
You know. Okay. Moving on. Wait, everyone voted right?
yep.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to best action game. We have Back for Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. My vote is for Returnal because I feel like people are going to feel bad that it didn't get nominated in other places because it surely should have. But Returnal is my vote here.
I'm gonna piggyback off that too. Like Returnal should definitely be in the Game of the Year category, and like what an outstanding game from a developer who's like this is their first AAA game. Like they've done Resogun before, they've made some slappers, but this is like their first AAA game, and it is so good. It's punishing, but it's like very interesting in the moment to moment like action gameplay. Like Doom, you talk about the dance of combat and how you're constantly moving. Like I haven't felt that really since playing Returnal. Like I haven't felt that anywhere else.
Do you think that dance in combat is better in Returnal than it is in Doom?
No, I gotta go with Doom because just the first person's perspective. You can get the movement around the way bullets work and the fact that like it's very much like you have to be killing people for enemies to get health in Doom. Just makes it a lot more like intense and like you're clenching up versus like I didn't really have that as much with Returnal, but like it definitely does the combat great in third person.
Sure. Okay. Brett or Jordan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Returnal. Just not only from like action set pieces that you get to do in Returnal, I just kind of going with the last category, just the gameplay and how that relates to the action. Like Deathloop, I enjoyed. I didn't really play Far Cry 6 that much, but I just felt like the gameplay out of all of these just felt the best in Returnal, and that correlates in terms of how the action kind of can unfold. And so I'm going to go with the Returnal for best action game of the year.
Okay, Jordan. It could potentially be beneficial to you to go for a different game.
That's what I'm thinking from a strategy point of view. And so for that reason, I think I am going to go with Deathloop. I played Deathloop. I liked it. But I think the gameplay is kind of carrying the rest of that game on its shoulders. The story is fine. Like, and the way they go about telling it, I feel like almost stress. And Austin, I think me and you talked about this. It almost stresses you out at first, and then you realize it's no, just go down each path, and then eventually it'll all converge. But it feels so scary in the beginning because
Bit
they give
daunting.
you little
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah. So I just think a game in which really the gameplay is the best aspect, action would kind of be the place to put it.
Right.
I also
Not that
I also
Eternal.
think I also think there's a chance that just because it's Arcane and people love Arcane and they might not think that it'll win Game of the Year, but they want to give Arcane their dues because they deserve it. Arcane's a
Not
great
true.
dev,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and
Mm.
and I love
Absolutely.
Arcane's environments and the way they kind of put puzzles in their combat and stuff like that. Like I enjoy that a lot. And my favorite part of Deathloop, ironically, is Colt. I really loved Colt as a character and how his commentary on things. There are a few lines that missed. Don't get me wrong, but I really enjoyed my time with Colt. So.
Yeah.
I also am gonna vote Deathloop on this one. This is one that I think Arcane really needed to get roses for this one because they really have fine-tuned their gameplay and streamlined it in such a way that you can almost see it with every iteration. And this is, to me, this is a 10 out of 10 game. I personally think that I don't know. I don't feel like they've gotten their just desserts yet, and I definitely feel like this is the opportunity to have that happen, not taking away from Returnal and what it was able to do for its first, like foray into AAA. But I really, really like what they did with Returnal. Or pardon me, Deathloop.
Best
Yeah.
Xbox game this year?
Deathloop?
Oh yeah.
Funny. I see what you did there. Took me a second, but I got it. Okay. Moving on, we have innovation and accessibility. I feel like this is an important category to include. We have Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, or The Veil Shadow of the Crown, which I am not familiar with. Does anyone have any insight on this?
Just on the accessibility options in Ratchet and Clank, those are the ones I actually heard about as somebody who doesn't have a disability that affects them in terms of playing video games. So, not that it's not something I don't listen to, but it's not something I look into in every game I turn on because I personally don't need that.
Mhm.
Right.
So I feel to the mainstream audience, when you have a game that has accessibility options that are so good, it breaks out into the mainstream. That almost speaks for itself, the way Last of Us 2 did last year.
Yeah.
So
Right.
because I've heard about the options in Ratchet and Clank, I will vote Ratchet and Clank.
And I feel like because I'm right there with you. I think my vote is also for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart because I heard people talking about it. I think his name is Steve Saylor. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Blind Gamer. I heard him talking about it when it came out, and he's pretty much like my pillar in that world. So if he talks
Right.
some smack about a game, I'm like, ooh, they probably didn't do so well. But if he talks like the praises of a game, I'm like, they probably did well.
Mhm.
So yeah, as someone who is fortunate to not really have to delve into these options and needs help playing their games, my vote will go for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
I want to go with Ratchet and Clank because like I did skim through the options this time just to see like what was up because I'm always curious and like versus like last year when I like smoked a fat bowl and started The Last of Us Part 2 and got stuck in accessibility menus for like 10 minutes while jumping into that game. Just going through Ratchet and Clank was incredible and just seeing all that they have and all that you can do. But I gotta go with Forza because Forza has a almost equal amount, but then it has the customization options in which you can actually put prosthetics on your character, and I feel like a lot of people are now going to see themselves represented in Forza because of that, and it's very cool that we're at that part, and even like even in Halo now you can put prosthetics, and I just think having the options on top of the fact that you have the looks to it, I think Forza definitely gets a little bump up for me. But I definitely can see it being Ratchet because that standard is set within PlayStation now, especially every studio looking at what Naughty Dog did last year.
Totally. Yeah, in my mind, it's between those two. Forza was
Right.
my number two, and I thought about it second, but yeah, my vote's for Ratchet and Clank, but Forza was close behind. If Forza gets it, I would not be shocked.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ratchet and Clank, just as what you guys already said about it. Yeah, I've never played the Veil, so I have no idea
Name.
what that
Could
game
be a shot in the dark vote.
could be. Yeah, again, highlighting Forza with all their accessibility options, not only in terms of options, but kind of representation for characters and things like that. Because Xbox has been doing a great job the last few years with expanding accessibility. And I did want to bring up uh, Guardians of the Galaxy, only in terms of Square Enix, at least in the two Marvel games they've done, have done a pretty good job with subtitles in terms of like you can pick all these different sizes, color coding schemes, and stuff like that. That even I use just to like help it, just me reading the stuff easier. So I don't know. I know a couple other people had issues with other accessibility stuff, but I remember that sticking out to me both times, just from a norm, like just from my perspective. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Ratchet and Clank.
Okay. Has everyone voted for that category?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to best community support. Up for the nominations, we have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14 Online, Fortnite, No Man's Sky. Hasn't No Man's Sky been in this category for like the last 3 years, or am I?
Yeah, and
Yeah, making that up?
I feel
I guess
I think they
Fortnite has been there
won.
too. I bet.
Yeah, and I think they won last year. No Man's Sky.
I remember that
It
because
has
like
like
the guy was like sipping a Coke or something. It's like
yeah,
what?
like yeah.
Sean Murray was drinking a beer and he didn't realize that he was like gonna win. Real quick, just before I forget, I really want Destiny 2 to win this. I feel like Bungie has been putting in blood, sweat, and tears into Destiny 2 for years now, and I would like to see them get roses on it. Apex has done a lot for community support. I mean, Fortnite just has all the money in the world, so I don't think. Anyway, that's my pick. Is Destiny 2.
Right. And like I want to go with Fortnite here, hot off the event today and the fact that The Rock is now in Fortnite and they're so good about listening to the community and what they want and implementing feedback. But I think I got to go with Final Fantasy 14 here just because like whenever they announce stuff, whenever they announce expansions, it's a moment. And like yeah, it's always like they do big showcases for something that seems so small and minuscule in other games with expansions, and they're listening to feedback and like the game director is so apologetic over having to delay the game 2 weeks, and the whole community's like, "Nah, dude, like it's good," and he's like, "I'm sorry," and just nonstop apologizing, and I feel like this is gonna be their moment, especially with the Endwalker coming out, same like 2 days before.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm also voting for Final Fantasy 14 Online because of everything you just said, Josh. I've heard a lot of positive things around their support, especially
Right.
recently or semi recently. I think I read
Mhm.
a Instagram post or something about how the developer or the director or whatever was apologetic, like extremely apologetic, like a long
Right.
like note to the fans, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, it takes
Mhm.
more than that. Don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, I've heard a
Right.
lot of positive things around that game and semi recently as well.
100%.
So I think because
And
it's recent, it helps it as well. So yeah.
right. And if I didn't put that, Gino would be like super disappointed in me. And like I've literally watched him react to the expansion announcements and like lose his shit. And he has this great tweet of like, dude, like I'd sacrifice my firstborn born for you. You don't have to apologize over 2 weeks, like a 2 week delay. Uh and yeah, it's incredible how much passion that community has for the game.
His kid's gonna grow up and read that tweet and be like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Right?
Funny.
For me personally, so there's this category, and then there is
Mhm.
best ongoing game. And personally, for me, the way I
Okay.
read the titles, I get very two different interpretations. When I hear about like all the things is adding and the characters that are coming in, to me that sounds like it's an ongoing thing. They are making the current game, they're just adding to it, and so it's still good. Same with Destiny 2.
Right.
To me, community support seems to be more like making the game better rather than expanding the game. So
Uh-huh.
while there is a lot to be said about critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14, which has a free trial, I'm surprised no one did the meme first. I'm personally going to go for No Man's Sky just because that is kind of like that. it's become almost a verb in the gaming community of like, oh, is it going to pull a No Man's Sky? Like, it is truly the game that was able to change the public perception on it. And to me, that's what community support is versus ongoing game.
Fair enough.
I'm totally with you on that. I just don't know if it's lasted into 2021. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
wonder
will
if
give.
it's made its full
I'll
comeback.
agree. I don't know of anything they added this year that was like huge. Was the mechs this year or last year?
Last
idea.
year.
That
No
was
idea.
last year.
Wait, you're talking about in Fortnite or No Man's
No,
Sky?
in No Man's Sky.
Oh, okay. No, because never
Are
mind.
there mechs in Fortnite?
There
are.
were,
Yeah,
and then
it's
there
crazy.
are. They brought them back.
Yeah.
The Rock is in there now. Who knew?
Yeah.
As a mech?
No,
He
kind of.
might be part robot. I'm not sure.
Actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with best community support. I'm going with Final Fantasy 14. Again, a lot of people have brought up great points in terms of the transparency of announcing the delay, engaging with like fan engagement of what they're rolling out. Because like Josh said, like anytime they announce like a new job title or whatever, like people are like, "Oh my gosh, like this is exactly what I wanted." Things like that. And then Jordan brought up a great point with Fortnite. Although Fortnite does a great job of community support in terms of like transparency, like you literally can vote on stuff to bring back into games and things like that. Like that's like the ultimate like fan engagement. Yeah, I haven't played Destiny 2 in a hot minute, so I can't comment on Destiny 2. Chance, but Chance, do you like have any like examples of like
Not off the top of my
community
head,
support?
just what they've been doing with it over the last couple of years, and I didn't take into account like Final Fantasy 14. I do also think needs to be commended because that game is 10 years old and somehow it's more popular now than it has ever been before. There's nothing really that comes to mind, but you just look at the Destiny community and how vocal they are and how much how much Bungie listens to them and how excited they are every time a new piece of content is dropped and how they improve upon the systems, not all the time for the better, but they're always trying to like make those improvements. Sometimes you end up with currency that you haven't used in 2 years and you have 1,400 over, but that's a separate story.
This category is just tough because like all the other ones are like artistic like opinions. This is like they're probably all pretty great in terms of community support. It's just
I agree with that statement.
Which one did the best? Like that's tough.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird category for voting wise, but yeah, it's definitely a feel good category. Like if you're in this category at this like award ceremony, like good job, you did good.
100%. And I'd love to see 343 be here next year. I think they just missed the cutoff in terms of dropping the beta for the multiplayer, but they've been like so on the ball about responding to community feedback and making adjustments. Like literally the same week they dropped the beta. So
from hopefully, what I've heard, next year. Some people would disagree with you. From what I've
heard. I'm like.
I mean, they've already made like 2 drastic changes to the XP.
For the record, I agree with you, Josh. 100%.
Hey, sorry, I gotta know. Is anybody else hearing audio right now?
No.
That
might just
I have
be
no other pages open than Discord and my Logitech app, and I'm hearing a full-blown ad right now.
What's the ad for?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's
sponsored.
It's not on me. None of the trailers that I have queued up are playing yet, and I'm not sharing audio for that.
Music.
Nope, that's not me.
Continuing on, we have Best Indie. Up for the nominations, we have 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, Kena Bridge of Spirits, and Loop Hero. Now, at the top of this, as someone who follows this scene, because I work over at 6-1 Indie, I can see literally all 5 of these are worthy of this award.
You should save your vote for the last then, since you got the lowdown.
I will.
Otherwise, I'll just jump on your vote.
The only thing I want to say is my personal vote would be for 12 Minutes, and as an unpopular vote, I actually really like 12 Minutes. If you read my review, I think it's a gem. I love it a lot, regardless of some of the source material. But that's not my vote. So if you want to take that as
Bro. Hey, bro. Okay.
All right. So someone can take it away.
I'm gonna go with Death's Door. Just from everything I've heard on that game, and has it come to Game Pass? Do we know?
It is.
Oh, okay.
I bought it, but I don't know if
right.
I don't know if they added it later. Shoot.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things where it's like an Xbox exclusive, but then didn't come to Game Pass, so I kind of like slept on it, and I was like, I'll wait. But then everyone was ranting and raving over Death's Door, and it's a Devolver joint, and they just put out some of the best indies on the market, and there's like
It is not on Game Pass.
absolute slam door. Damn.
Just Googled it.
Damn.
I thought it was. Was it for a period of time?
I literally am on the Game Pass app and I typed in Death's Door and there's no search
No.
result.
You know, actually, the conversation around it when it came out is, oh, this is like a big Xbox game that's not on Game Pass.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
I might have just got a code for it. Usually, if I don't remember buying a game, it's because it was on Game Pass, but it might not be that way.
Man, see, my own bias with indie games is like, I feel like I'm gonna pick the wrong one. Because I really like Death's Door. And then shout out to Loop Hero again, Bo, who's not here with us right now. He's still somewhere.
Right.
He's not here with us.
Yeah.
Right now. Right now.
I heard he's fighting off some snakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fighting off some
Yeah.
snakes.
As I do.
Bo raved about Loop Hero time and time again. So obviously
Coming to
there's
Switch soon, and I am excited.
yes coming
Yeah.
to Switch. But yeah, and I'm totally looking at indies the wrong way here, but the biggest and visually impressive game out of this group is Kena for me, and so that to me shows like because there's many ways to look at indies. I just think of like size of this team and budget, and the fact that they were to accomplish something like this with their team, I think speaks volumes. And so I want to reward that game for that angle of an indie game.
Sure. Jordan?
I'm, as somebody who hasn't played any of these games yet, like I'm asking for Death's Door for Christmas because the second it came out, I went, I feel like this is going to come to Switch, and it feels like a Switch game. I also said it on the PlayStation show PlayStation State of Play, where it was announced. I was like, oh, I wish it was coming to Switch. Turns out it was. They just obviously didn't mention that in their own presentation. So I'm asking for Christmas, and so my vote goes to Death's Door because of the amount of interest it has on me as somebody who's not the biggest on like 2D-ish games like that. I know it's technically 3D, but I don't know what else to call it. It kind of has those old school graphics.
Yeah, isometric 3D.
Yeah.
Or 2D. Yeah.
2.5D.
Is everyone but me voted?
Yes.
Okay. I am shocked and I'm happy to see Inscription here because that was kind of a later-ish release and it deserves to be here. That game looks incredible. If you don't know what that is, check it out. It's a like a deck builder, but it's not at all. Just look into it. It breaks the fourth wall kind of stuff, and you're in this little room and you can explore the room when you're not playing the card game. And you're like locked in there with some dude creature thing. And it's really creative and I really like it. But my personal vote is 12 minutes. I already went into that. What I would vote for who's going to win this category is Loop Hero. I think that game came out earlier in the year, and I still think the fact that people still talk about that game right now speaks volumes. And the only reason I'm not voting for Kena is because the title or the category is debut indie, and I think that fits Kena a little bit more than best indie. That's not me saying that neither of these deserve to win. I think literally any of these could win. I don't think 12 minutes will. But I think literally any of these could win, and I'd be like, yep, that makes sense. But my personal vote, because of the momentum that is carried throughout the entire year, is Loop Hero.
Real quick, Inscription, what platform is that on?
I've only played it on my computer.
Okay.
So I don't know. But I think it only came to PC first. I think it's coming to Switch and PS4 later.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Moving on. I forgot to bring up the next category because I'm a doofus. I'm working on technical
Do we
difficulties.
want to do our second announcement prediction?
That's what I was thinking.
Crap, I completely forgot about that. That's on me. Yes, we can. Let's do that right now.
Let's do it.
I forgot. My bad.
So I went first, so I'll go last, and that way I don't like end up taking somebody's thing.
I kind of went last time, so I will go first this time. I have a few things written down. I will say I think we're going to see GT7, Gran Turismo 7. I think it will be here. I think I don't know if we know too much about that game. I don't think we do actually. Besides, like it's happening. Like who would have thought?
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll get a fancy, pretty trailer because racing game. They always look fantastic. I don't know if there'll be a release date or not, but I think that will be at the show.
This is Gran Turismo, right?
Yes. Is that what did I say? Something else?
No, I was just confirming, but I think it already got a release date after, or maybe a window after the last PS5 like showcase.
Sure.
They did where it was like sandwiched in between two hype trailers. They like came out afterwards and they're like, yeah, it's spring 2022. I don't know if they've
That could be right.
come down with a hard set release date.
I just feel like if there was a date, I would know about it, but who knows? I miss a bunch of shit. So
I could see them talking about it again, either here or their own state of play, just to like hammer it home one time. And I feel like I'm not plugged into like sim racing games, but like I feel like GT has kind of lost its luster over the years, so I feel like they want to give it some juice to get it back up there. Get it more
I think
popular.
it has a very dedicated fan base. I think there are
100%.
a set of people that buy every installment of that game.
Yeah,
that's what they look forward to for that year. So. And then they have rigs. You know what I mean? Like they have the steering wheel and they're ready to go. And
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I'm gonna go with, because I feel like sometimes the announcements are based on what games are showing up here, and because like there's representatives from the developers and the publishers to accept the awards, they're also like showing stuff, and so I think we're gonna get our first look at some of the content coming for Resident Evil Village. Just because like 7 had a bunch of release DLC that like it was like what ifs and like story based stuff, and it was all great, and it's a big part. And I thought we would have saw that at Capcom's E3 showcase, but they only came out and said that they were doing it and didn't show anything. And so I feel like now's the time to like show what they're doing in terms of the DLC.
That's a good point. They kind of have to now. Like when that came out. The original Capcom showcase, it was like cool. Like we already knew that, I guess, but
yeah, exactly. Like I because my predictions for that showcase was like y'all have like concept like artwork done, hopefully, like at least like I know it's only been a few months since release, but you have to have like something to show, even if it's like 10 seconds, but they didn't. And so now I feel like now's the opportune time here, especially with like Village being in a lot of categories, especially and up for Game of the Year. So it just feels like the right time.
Jordan?
I think now, are we only predicting game announcements and sneak peeks?
What would be the other option?
Okay, so I want to predict that a B-list celebrity that has nothing to do with video games is going to make an appearance for an announcement.
That can be your bonus thing. Let's do an announcement for a game. That can be your bonus point.
One for each B-list celebrity.
Give us the damn game.
Okay. I think we will get. I'm not going to say the words first trailer, but I do think we will get a deeper look at Starfield. You know, they gave us like the tiniest little peek at E3, and then the past few months, and then they did a decently sized dump like 2 weeks ago. They've just been sprinkling like concept art and talks about their ideas for this world that they're building. So I do think that they're going to show us a little more now that the game is less than a year away.
I think there's a rumor that's going to be here. I could be wrong. I could have made that up, but I thought I saw something about
I know Paris and Ka are fighting about it on Twitter.
They fight about everything.
They do.
Yeah. In the friendliest way I've ever seen.
But yeah,
they fight about everything.
Paris doesn't think it will be there. Ka does.
I have 2 predictions to make up for me not having one earlier. One of which Jordan just took with Starfield. So I have different ones. All right. We know it was in development. Something wasn't fitting, so they had to restart. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to see something from the next Metroid Prime. Hot off the tails of how good Dread is doing. I think that they would want to capitalize. It's been long enough since they announced the restart of the development. Even if it's just like a little like stinger that's 15 seconds long, I think we're going to get something about Metroid Dread. Not Metroid Dread. Metroid Prime.
Someone please Photoshop that.
Yeah.
Metroid bread. I love
All
it.
right, second thing. If y'all know anything about me, you know I have a supreme love of one franchise. Lights dim. There's a slight red undertone. And then we hear it. Fear the old blood. Bloodborne Remaster by Bluepoint is
Ooh.
announced 2022.
Ooh.
I like that Chance's
Wow.
predictions are hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And ours are boring. I
Yeah.
love it.
Does Nintendo
Yeah.
make an appearance? At
Yes,
Game
and
Oh,
stay
they make
stay
absolute-
tuned for my third prediction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's like I think the first time we saw Breath of the Wild gameplay was at Game Awards, and
Yeah.
like, when that was up for Game of the Year, that's where they first showed DLC, and like, yeah, Nintendo loves Jeff Keighley. I don't know what it is about
Was
him,
that
but
that?
they
Was
just
that
love him.
motorcycle thing? Is that what that
yeah,
was?
yeah, that was
So
the
weird.
motorcycle. Yeah, like a lot of Breath of the Wild's marketing and was like revolved around Game Awards.
Yeah, I don't think those are likely to happen. I don't think it's impossible, but I love the fact that
Right.
Chance is like, nah, here it is.
I mean, I'd say
Dude.
Metroid Bread is definitely impossible.
Yeah,
No,
Metroid Prime.
Nah, dude, they gotta make that bread, bruh. Samus gotta get that sack, bruh. Gotta secure the bag.
How high are
Jan-
you right now?
That's none of your fucking business.
Chance, I didn't even think about that because like Metroid's so near and dear to my heart. Like I can't get too invested with like that kind of prediction stuff. So like
It's got to come
But-
someday. Why not today? I mean,
I
Game
think there's a
Awards.
chance because literally there was like a Reddit post I saw like a month ago or two where there was like it's been 1,000 days since they've said anything about that game, like almost like 3 years or something like that. Like it's been so long since they've said anything about that yeah, it could be around the corner any day. So is it me? Am I the last one now?
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I thought it was going last. Pardon me.
No, that's okay. No, yeah, that's fine.
All good.
So I think I'm going to steal your third prediction, Chance. I don't know if it is, but I think they are going to show Breath of the Wild 2,
Yep.
and they'll show
Yup.
a similar kind of trailer to when they revealed the name and gameplay, I think at the 2015 Game Awards. So they'll do something like that where it's like, oh, he has like some crazy new ability, and then they'll show the name, and then they'll blow it out next E3. So I think we're gonna get a name drop for Breath of the Wild, and maybe one new like feature that they're gonna implement in the game.
All right, Brett, for all the marbles, what's the title?
Oh, there's no way I'm guessing that, bro. It's like no way.
Breath of the Kush, free ballin'. I don't know.
It's gonna be like some
Breath of the
odd.
Dread.
It's gonna be some object.
Metroid
And then a time or season. So I guess something with the gauntlet. So Gauntlet of Fate. Let's go with that.
Two Breath,
Ooh,
Too
okay.
Wild.
If I get that right, everybody owes me $100.
No, I was just saying, if you get that right, you get like all the bonus points because that would be. that'd be terrible.
You win by
The Legend of
default.
Zelda
You
Gauntlet
win
of
bonus.
Fate. Because
Yeah.
you had that hand thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Or
going to make a
Gauntlet-
prediction about someone's prediction. If they show Metroid Prime 4, I predict that Brett will have to change his pants.
Yes.
I'm
A
voting-
1,000%.
Both ends.
All right. Moving on to the next category after talking about Brett having to change his pants. Love it. Best ongoing game, which Jordan brought up. We had a similar category as community support. This is kind of like up that alley. Best ongoing: Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty, Warzone.
Fortnite. Are you fucking kidding me? The Rock is in the game now. They literally just showed that today. Joel McHale was also in that event. Fucking Spider-Man's coming in the next freaking battle pass, and it looks better than Marvel's Avengers already. Like it's insane. It's insane. And so I think they're gonna take it home. This is the year. This was Fortnite's year.
Okay. Anyone else?
All right.
I'm gonna go with Call of Duty Warzone. They just really understand what they need to do to make it such a great game. Psych, no, I'm not going with Call of Duty Warzone.
I was about to say, bro.
Thank you, Brett.
Hell no. Just like Carnage dunking on Venom earlier today that I was doing in Fortnite. Fortnite's just dunking on everybody on how to. It's literally like the gold standard of anything ever. It's Fortnite updating the game as a live service game, keeping it with new things to do, new objectives, and then even like for the longest time for me, like just like Josh dropped, like you drop Spider-Man, yeah, I'm gonna drop $20 and play him for a few days, like that, like that's just like such an awesome way to keep people invested in the game. They are perfect. Like I said earlier, for the community support, like they literally allow players to vote on certain things that they want to bring back and change. And yeah, it's like they're updating the game like every few weeks. Like it's crazy, like how locked on they are with updating their game.
Yeah.
Jordan.
I think Marvel's Avengers got fucking snubbed. This is some bullshit.
I played Spider-Man for 7 hours yesterday, and I wouldn't even vote for Marvel's
Nah,
Avengers.
I'm kidding. If anything, they'd be community support, not best ongoing. But I think I'm gonna go with Fortnite as well. I'm somebody who just plays it when I'm just really really bored. Like it's just kind of like once in a blue moon will turn on, but they know what to do to keep people in, and it's like.
Yeah.
Is Epic Games going to get so much money they take over the world? Probably. Am I okay with that? Yeah, because they'll have everyone else involved. They'll cross over everything, and it'll be a really cool world domination.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Because you all went Fortnite, I feel obligated to go something else. I'm gonna go Final Fantasy 14 Online because I feel that it's likely that if it doesn't win the first one, it'll win this one, or vice versa.
Right.
That's fair.
So I feel like it's likely that this gives me voting in these two categories with the same game. I'm getting 1 point. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's likely that I'm guaranteed a point.
I think there's a dark horse element to your pick, only in terms of like if anybody ever follows sports, it's like if a player or something wins an award like so many times, like they just don't win it after a while because the voters just want to spice it up. So I could totally see a possible future where they're like, hey, because I'm sure Fortnite has won it at least 2 or 3 times ever since they started the Game Awards. So
Yeah.
I could see like Final Fantasy getting it as like a dark horse pick for sure.
Totally. Yeah, that would totally make sense. It makes me feel a little bit better about my pick. Okay, so now we have games for impact. The nominees are Before Your Eyes, which I've heard a lot of good things about, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange, True Colors, and No Longer Home. Anyone want to jump on that one first? If not, I will.
I've heard a lot of things about these games, but I haven't really played them. Before Your Eyes is like one where everyone's like, "Yeah, you'll cry if you play it." But for me, I gotta go with Life is Strange just because like I've loved the first 2 games, and they typically tell like very important and relevant stories, and like you know they're great about representation and like highlighting social issues, and so I feel like Life is Strange, no colors probably does the same thing. I'm bound to pick it up any day now. So that's where I'm gonna go.
As a fan of the Life is Strange franchise, this is the best Life is Strange game that you can find. I think it is great. It's a solid, like maybe not a 10, but pretty damn close. Like it's
Okay.
pretty up there in far as rating it. But with the other games on the list, I would not be
Right.
shocked if Before Your Eyes gets it. I think that game is in the perfect category to win Before Your Eyes. Games for impact because like Josh said, everyone who plays that game, there's a little disclaimer there. It messes with your eyes, so you kind of have to stare at things. So like you're gonna be
Right.
crying at the end regardless. But it's definitely a narrative focused thing where you're gonna want to cry. So it works in its favor that way. But
Right.
my vote is for Life is Strange True Colors. But if Before Your Eyes wins, I would not be shocked.
Is that your prediction?
My
Before
predict-
Your Eyes?
My prediction is Life is Strange True Colors.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm going to vote Boyfriend Dungeon. I think that game, it had for lack of a better word, a controversy this year, but I do think that there's a very big difference in art that is inherently problematic and art that talks about sensitive topics in different ways. And I think that people got it mixed up. I do think that Boyfriend Dungeon wants to hit on these hard hitting topics in a way that not makes light of it, but approaches the look of something in a different light. And the idea that not every character in a piece of media has to be a good person. You can write stories about bad people and have that be the point. And also, I think that no press is bad press. Even if I dislike that idea, I just think that it's unfortunately true. So I honestly think that Boyfriend Dungeon gets it.
All right, Brett.
Yeah. So looking at these games here up for the award, one thing I noticed, and it could be a good thing, it could work for its favor or work against it, is that Life is Strange is like made by a bigger studio and backed by a huge publisher, whereas all these other games are backed by indie publishers or like completely made by like a group of couple people. So I just looking at it like analytically, like I wonder if people, like most people are voting for this, are like, oh, I know Life is Strange, or I played Life is Strange only, and so I'm going to vote for this. Whereas all these other games, and kind of like what you brought up, Austin, is like Before Your Eyes. There's a lot of cool stuff. Jordan brought up Boyfriend Dungeon. I heard a couple people rave about Chicory as well.
It got like 9s across the board, from what I know.
Yeah, I'm just like looking at it like from that like voter perspective. I just wonder if like most people are like, oh yeah, I only know Life is Strange, so click. So I think I'm just gonna go with Life is Strange just as the safe choice that most people are gonna vote for, and that more people probably played out of the source. I'm going with Life is Strange as well.
That makes sense. It's a smart pick. Okay, moving on, we have best performance. And I said at the top of not at the top of the show, but near the beginning of the show, that I really enjoyed Colt Vaughn's performance and his voice actor, Jason Kelly. So that would be my vote. But the nominees are Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange: True Colors, Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo in Far Cry 6, Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn in Deathloop, Maggie Robertson as Lady. I'm not saying that.
You know how to say
Lady
it, Josh.
D.
Lady D. Okay, thank you.
It's like
And
Demetrescu, something like that.
Dimitrescu, I think.
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
And oh my god, Ozioma Akaga as Juliana Blake. I probably butchered your name. I apologize. Also in Deathloop.
Okay. I gotta go with my boy Gus Fring in Far Cry, simply because like Far Cry always has iconic villains, but this is the first time they actually like backed that iconic villain with a great actor, and like he's easily the most recognizable out of everyone on this list and delivered a great performance in it. So I think he takes the win here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it. Me personally, that's why I wouldn't vote for him, because the other ones are less notable. I want to give them more like recognition.
Yeah.
Personally, from like my personal vote, that's how that would go.
Yeah, I'll go next. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, it's like I could totally see that thing where all the voters are wanting to legitimize games more, and so they vote for like the big Hollywood actor to like get the award. So it's like, hey, like this big Hollywood actor won a game award.
I don't like that.
I'm just saying it could happen.
No, I agree with you. I was gonna say the same thing.
Right.
I just don't like that that's a thing.
It could happen.
Yeah.
And then with the two main leads of Deathloop, I wonder if that would split the vote between them potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's splitting the vote here at shared screens because I think Ozioma Akaga like is gonna win it personally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they both did such a phenomenal job, and just one person might gravitate to the one role over the other, just depending on a bunch of factors.
And you might have already brought this up. Sorry, I was reading my phone, but I think that might hurt both of them as candidates for voting. I think because they're going to split the Deathloop votes, and that's why they're going to lose out to one who gets all the votes for that game.
Even if it's still like 75-25 one way, that could still mean the difference for the award.
Yep.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Erica Mori as Alex Chen.
Yep, that was my number 2 pick.
That's what I'm going with. I feel like that was one of the standout things that a lot of people talked about when they had takeaways from the game.
She's great.
And then kind of listing all the other stuff I just had about the other candidates. I feel like she might be like the one that slips through all those different competing factors. So I'm going with Erica Mori.
It's a good 5. I want that on record. It's a lot of
it is.
It's a good category.
Yeah.
part of me is like, are the judges horny enough to all vote for Lady Dimitrescu? I would say, as if the internet was concerned, yeah,
Yeah.
horniness wins every time on the internet. It's very scary.
Right.
As far as my actual prediction to get the point, I think it's going to be Giancarlo Esposito. I
Yeah.
could go on a rant right now about it's the same thing with Broadway, about bringing in these popular movie and TV actors and putting them in these other projects. Does that more legitimize them, or does that hurt other people? It's actually a thing in
Right.
voice acting as well. But in terms of my prediction, I'll say Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, and I think that's a safe bet. I having played RE8, like Lady D is not really in it that much to deliver that great of a performance, and I feel like they just got the nomination because like the internet was horny for her. So like,
100%.
I do feel that's why she's here, but like
I don't want
she's
to take
not
away
taking it.
from the actress's performance. It was
Right,
clearly, I'm
right,
sure it was. I didn't play the game, but I'm sure she did a
right.
fantastic job. But yeah, she's
Still
there
great,
for a
but
reason.
like yeah, they could have used to like yeah, less so on her performance and more so on the devs. Like y'all could have done more with that character and her performance.
Okay. Moving on, this will be our last category before we get into our last prediction and then the final 5 voting categories. So, best audio design. We have Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. Anyone want to take this away?
I'm split, but I gotta go with Returnal. Just like having the Pulse headset, that was the first time like I felt like it was actually being utilized from PlayStation. Like not that like Miles Morales didn't do anything cool with it or Astro's Playground, but like you actually heard your enemies throughout the world moving, and the fact that when it rains in that game you feel it on the DualSense is absolutely incredible and just adds that immersion of being in that world, and that's just such a unique thing. So I'm gonna go Returnal. Although if Forza wins it, I wouldn't be mad because it sounds great. I'm not even a car dude, but I love revving engines in that game and racing around. It's incredible.
I'm gonna go for Deathloop for the same reason, as Josh, where I played 90% of that game with the Pulse 3D headset, and it really enhances it. And the couple of times I turned it on without the headset, the kind of like when Juliana talks to you or when somebody else is talking to you, it comes through the controller, which I do think makes it more immersive. But I also remember like opening up these recordings or these videos while I'm doing my research on the people, and then like if I turn, the sound starts to sound as though it's further away, it's behind me, it's next to me. And the one scene that stands out is the bobblehead of Alexis Dorsey, where he's like saying all this shit and you're forced to run with it, and it finally ends, and then it starts up again. And no matter how you run, like people are just going to hear it. So I think the way that
Yeah.
it was utilized both for player immersion and the way it's used in the game, because people can hear you, worked really well.
I like it.
I think personally, I'm gonna go with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This is another one of those things where if I'm playing to win, this might not be a great strategy, but I feel like the category. I don't remember what category I voted for it before, but I feel like if it doesn't win that one, it's gonna win this one, kind of a thing. So I feel like another thing where it guarantees me a point. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is my vote.
Was it accessibility?
Maybe
Yeah.
Right.
sounds right.
And then I think action.
I voted for it 3 times. Oh damn.
Yes.
Who knows?
Sure hope
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank
adventure.
sweeps.
Yeah,
we
yeah. Action adventure game.
It's just tough because like yeah, like Ratchet and Clank had great audio. Returnal had really great audio. Deathloop like didn't stand out to me, but I didn't play it with the Pulse headset and stuff, and y'all were talking it up, and now I'm like, shoot, did I like just do I have untrained ears or something?
I would say
I
Pulse
feel,
is the way to go.
This is just my opinion on this matter. You can turn it off on that. Turn me off. You can turn it off on that. So Jordan went Deathloop. Josh went Returnal, right?
Yep.
I went Ratchet. You should go Forza. That way we're all different.
I'm gonna pick Forza because Josh touched on it a little bit. Like games that are designed like racing games, like there's certain genres that like you have to nail the audio, otherwise it's
Right.
just not going to hit the same. And because
Mhm.
a game like Forza Horizon 5, which is a racing game, like there's not a bunch of variability you can do with the gameplay, and so you have to nail every aspect of that game for it to succeed as much as
100%.
it did. And then I feel like other games here are going to win or just had better qualities in other categories. And I feel like Forza, this is like one of the few that I got nominated for and that I think should win. So I'm going to go Forza.
And then we'll put down Chance for Resident Evil Village just to get us a clean sweep on all 5.
All right.
All right. So moving on to our last prediction. Does anyone want to go first for the last announcement game we're going to see?
Sure. Because I was feeling iffy on this one, and then I for some reason had a feeling that Nintendo didn't like him making appearances at the Game Awards, but now that you guys have like reassured me they do, I say we get a trailer, maybe not of new footage, but we will get a trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's a little more than a month away. That game comes out end of January 2022. It's close.
I want that on record. That's Jordan's vote. I don't think that there's a chance in hell, because I think Nintendo and Pokemon Company are completely different.
Are you locked in? Are you locked in, Jordan? Are you locked into this pick?
He's got to be. I made it official.
Yeah.
I wasn't, but then I guess Austin locked me in against my will.
Because
He just tied me to the radiator, man.
I mean you can go back on it, I guess, but
no.
Again, Nintendo and Pokemon are a little bit different, and then Nintendo almost always does a direct right in January to kind of fill out, hey, here's what we're doing before E3 essentially this year. Either with hard dates or brand new announcements, things like that.
To his point though, Arceus is such a new thing that I could totally see them showing like a 2-minute sizzle reel or something we haven't even seen in the game yet.
You guys have
it's new to Pokemon.
And you arguably just contradicted yourself, Brandon. I'll explain. Nintendo Directs never have Pokemon stuff in them because Pokemon does their own Direct.
Yeah.
But Nintendo E3 shows, which I think is the closest thing comparable to the Game Awards, always has Pokemon marketing in them.
Mm-hmm.
So the times that Nintendo makes Pokemon part of their marketing is at the bigger events. The Directs are separate. So because of that, I am now officially, I'm okay that Austin tied me to the radiator. I'm doubling down that Arceus is making an appearance at the Game Awards.
All right.
I wonder too, because it's a month away, if they do that, if they do both. Like if there is a Nintendo Direct in January, the game's a week out, 2 weeks out.
That's what I was getting at.
They're like, hey, this is coming out. Like, make sure to pick it up. So I could see both, honestly. Actually, yeah. I went last time, so I'm gonna go first. I'm going, or not first. Yeah, or I was gonna say I'm gonna be like move up the chain here.
Sure.
So I'm going crazy with this one. The other two were kind of like based off of history. I brought this up, I think, did I bring it up on my stream, Josh, or earlier before recording? It's Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong has such a historic part of Nintendo's legacy. Like it's literally how like they got their jump started into the video game business, like in terms of being a great game, all that stuff. And they have done nothing to like acknowledge Donkey Kong at all, like in any show, like nothing, like not even like a small reference. So I think they're gonna announce a new Donkey Kong game at the Game Awards.
I would love that. I don't think it's gonna happen. I would love that.
Yep.
Damn.
Happily be wrong.
I'm gonna be wrong, but I hope I'm not.
Okay, Brett, 2D or 3D?
Both.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Both. Let me tell you.
My heart says 3D. My brain says because of the success of Returns and Tropical Freeze, they're going to just do another 2D one. But my heart says 3D.
You want to see the Super Mario Odyssey of Donkey Kong 64 to Mario Odyssey, like.
I love Donkey Kong 64.
Well, sorry, I mean like what Mario 64 was, and then what Super Mario Odyssey became. You want to see that, but for Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
I could totally see them doing both, like having two levels.
If that shows up at the Game Awards, like, yeah, I'm gonna have to change my pants like 8
Again.
times.
He just sits down. Ah, damn it! He's back up.
Damn.
All right, Josh, you got one?
Do I want to have a batshit crazy one, or do I want to
go for your dreams? The last two you did were kind of leading with your brain, right?
Yeah, stop playing it safe.
Right. Well, Well, I have one that's on the same level of the B-list celebrity from Jordan, but I don't know. Fuck.
They announced another Arc
Um.
anime.
Well, I mean, I'm mainly conflicted here because one is a meme, and it's like, do I really want to give this up for
Yes,
the
you
meme?
do.
Oh,
You want
I'm
me to go?
gonna
So you can think about it a little bit longer.
sure.
Okay, I was hoping you say no.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't have one.
Okay, okay. All right. The initiative is showing back up with Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
Like it's been a
Okay.
whole year since we've heard anything about that. We know that Crystal Dynamics is starting to transfer people over to help them push it, and yeah, Xbox typically shows up here. My other one was a PlayStation one, of course. The Knack remake. Yeah, because we're getting rumors that there's going to be a big PlayStation remake in December, and is obviously going to be Knack 1 and 2 bundled. And once that's sold like hotcakes, is going to start a third and then reboot the whole saga. But that's a given, like not really a prediction here at this point. So that's why I got to go with Perfect Dark. Plus, like PlayStation doesn't really show up at these things since State of Play's like come out. Like
You
I feel like they kind of just do their own thing.
you somehow had your real prediction, and then also you folded your meme prediction.
I was gonna ask
I
you for your
understand.
prediction
I
because
know,
was
I know.
curious.
That was as intended.
Oh,
That
I
was
had
as
to,
intended.
yeah. But Perfect Dark, they're showing back up, and it's going to be more than a logo this time. It's going to be, I want to say gameplay trailer. I want to say gameplay trailer.
Ooh. Okay.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, we see in-engine stuff from Perfect Dark.
Interesting.
I'm torn on my prediction because I could see. Do you guys remember a little game called Splitgate? You guys remember
Yes.
that? I could see that popping
Yes.
up again because with Halo multiplayer come back, they're gonna be like, shit. They
Yeah.
need to get out in front of everyone
Yeah.
again. I could
Remember
see
us?
Rest in peace, Splitgate. Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh my god.
I could see instead of Dragon Age, I could see Mass Effect being here. I could see.
I did already say that one.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah,
that was
Josh-
Josh's
you?
prediction.
Josh, lock that
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
I
Well,
could see
just had to
Sifu
based
again.
off,
I could see Sifu coming again because
Ooh.
it got delayed, so they might want to be out in front of everyone again.
Oh.
That was Josh's
But-
second prediction.
No.
As you said, but as Josh already said about the PlayStation thing, like sometimes they just leave their cards to their own stuff.
Honestly, like since they've been doing the State of Play, I feel like they haven't been at Game Awards. Like they'll even announce a game like a State of Play specifically to do a hype announcement. So it's like I feel like that's not likely anymore.
I'm gonna go with a little game called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge because that got delayed, and I think they're gonna show up again here and show some more stuff. I don't think it's gonna be anything crazy. I just think they're gonna have another trailer just to be like, "Hey, we're still here," and that's gonna be pretty much it.
That's a
And-
I
game.
think they announce it wearing the degraded costumes from the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it's like while they're speaking, the foam's falling everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a game that
Right.
looks like a GBA DS kind of graphics, right? I remember like
I
loving.
mean,
the
yes, that's
visuals.
kind of insulting, but yes.
No, I love that.
it's
I love that
hard.
vibe.
He
Yeah.
didn't even go PS2. Like it looks like a fucking handheld. video.
No,
Handheld.
like the 16-bit sprite, but not like the.
No, it
old
looks
16-bit.
pretty,
It's
but
like,
yes, it has that sprite based thing. Yep.
mhm.
I am all about that game, and I think since it got delayed, I think it will show up again. Just be like, hey,
Anytime I talk about the DS, it's a compliment. Just letting you know.
It looks like it's from the Commodore 64.
for
Oh gosh, that's not a compliment.
Chance, if you were still alive, did you give your third one?
I have
did
not.
not.
I have not, and I am ready to go. Also,
All right.
you guys might have heard me playing a trailer earlier. My mic was muted in my recording software, not for you guys. I apologize if you heard something.
No.
Anyway, my prediction, right? There's been a rumbling in the Force. Okay. Rumors.
Yeah.
Konami back in the streets. Right? Metal Gear Remake is here.
I like it. I like it.
What is it though?
I think it's a remake of one.
Just the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they're
now.
I think they're gonna remake the trilogy. Or the
Right.
whatever.
Now, a remake more
Saga.
like RE 2 and 3, where it's like a heavy expansion? Or are you talking like Blue Point? It's basically 1-to-1 but modern graphics.
I'm thinking more like what Resident Evil did, where it like really kind of modernizes it and everything.
Right.
Just I don't know. It's the time is right. It seems like the rumors about them kind of being back on the scene or doing some stuff. It feels like time.
Now, do they have, if this comes true, do they have Kojima's blessing? If this is real, do you think they've reached out and they're like, yo, dude, we know we've fucked you over so hard in the past.
Not a chance. I think they've talked.
Can we do this?
I think if anything, they've like used Sony as a third party, and like Sony's the friend that has to like go in between the two of them, and they're like, "Hey, will you tell Kojima that like we're really sorry that we locked him in the office and like we didn't let him talk to anybody."
Yeah.
And then they go to Kojima, and he's like, "I don't want to hear it, dude. Like, tell them to go fuck themselves." And then Sony has to go back to Konami and be like, "He said to go fuck yourself." Anyway.
Yeah, because this would make like a great arc from like 2015 to now in terms of like Konami like realizing they fucked up, apologizing to Kojima, and like because Jeff Keighley and Kojima are boys, like I could see this happening and them being like, yeah, we're sorry, but with Kojima's blessing, here's the remake. But I do think Sony needs to be the third party in between them, and I'm surprised they just haven't put up like a bill for Metal Gear. Like just put up $1 billion or at least like work out some deal where like Konami can do pachinko machines and license the toys, and then PlayStation just makes the games. But I like it.
And it's still a bill. And it's still $1 billion.
Yeah. And it's still $1 billion, because those games will sell.
100%. Yeah, in my mind I see that as, I don't know if it's probable, but if it happens, I would lose my shit, and I'd be like, "Yep, it totally makes sense." What I will say about the
I have to go for hype, like hype the whole time. All right, all of my predictions are pie for the sky.
I like it.
Not a single realistic one in the bunch.
I do have to say though, if they don't get Kojima's blessing, I give it maybe a week after, and I'm gonna be scrolling on Instagram and see IGN or see someone talking about Kojima had no idea or whatever, and it's gonna be a big story. And
for sure, without a doubt, without a doubt.
That's the thing. I feel like if they do it without Kojima's blessing, Jeff Keighley wouldn't show it because he is very protective of his friend.
We know what's going on right now in the news. He's willing to do whatever.
He don't give a shit. That was my other prediction, but I didn't want to make it.
Whatever to get the clicks.
I was gonna make one of my predictions was going to be that Jeff Keighley addresses the fact that he shows Activision Blizzard like all of those like developer shit at the conference.
Like he denounced a lot of that like last night at like midnight. I don't know if y'all saw, but
I did. Yeah, it was like 1 a.m.
After
midnight.
After being dragged all fucking day on Twitter, 1 a.m. he like comes up with a thread and he's like, "There's no stance for this in the community or any company, and other than I think."
He said outside of their nominations that they're not going to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. So like he did like a little too late, Jeffy boy, but like he at least did something.
He's going to address them not being there, like he did Kojima not being able to attend the Game Awards.
That's the thing with me too. I feel like if he doesn't address it on the show to some extent, I'm going to be let down. That is my personal thing. I don't know. I
agree with you. I agree with you.
If he walks out there and the first thing he says is "fuck Bobby Kotick," I would absolutely love that. And he's like, "Before we start the show, fuck Bobby Kotick." Okay, now the show is starting.
All right,
3,
so
2, 1, go.
If he does that, does he cement himself as like a guy who's willing to learn from, like, because obviously it was a misstep and he's corrected now, right? Like, so we got to give him credit for that. Going on a side tangent, I mean, he wasn't going to, but then he listened to everybody's feedback and he changed, right? That is how a person grows. If he comes out and at any point says "fuck Bobby Kotick" or something to like that severe an extent, does he cement himself as like a real homie in the gaming industry more than he already has? Like I feel like that like staples him as somebody.
I feel like that's gonna be 50-50. I feel like someone's gonna be like, "You turn so fast, like that. You're just like giving in to people what they're demanding," and then the other half is gonna be like, "Jeff Keighley, I fuck with Jeff Keighley."
But who's gonna criticize him for turning? Sorry, Jordan. But who's gonna criticize him for turning? Because like fuck Bobby Kotick.
Literally anyone on the internet.
I agree with
Like,
what
I'm
Austin's
sorry.
saying, but
I think no, just because he still has somebody from Activision's board on the like
Right.
executive things for the Game Awards. And he
Mhm.
also has people from Ubisoft and Riot as well. And I know Ubisoft, it was like some sections of the studio. It wasn't in a studio-wide thing as far as I've heard. And then I know Riot has done a lot to fix it. So it's not a one-to-one comparison. But at the same time, the other thing is words only mean so much. He can say fuck Bobby Kotick all day.
Mhm.
But if he's still buddy with Activision, what does that mean? That doesn't do anything.
I'm with
And
you.
I agree that it is a little bit of a hard thing to navigate because it's like, yes, fuck Bobby Kotick, and yes, fuck Activision Blizzard for having this built into their board and their executives. But do you ignore all these games all at once? It's like I don't. It's not that it's a hard choice. It's just this weird balance.
There's gray area to it. I agree with you on that stance. I don't think if he comes out here, which I don't think he will to that extent. I think he should say something about it. But if he comes out and says "fuck Bobby Kotick," there better be following steps after the Game Awards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it the way like Jimmy Kimmel to go. Sorry to Matt Damon. Like just say it at the very end,
Right.
like right as he's closing out.
I think right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like off the top. That way, there's no like miscommunication here. Fuck Bobby Kotick, and then he starts the show.
Yeah.
I would love that.
It's his show. They can't kick him off.
Right.
I mean, if even Xbox and them aren't like saying anything or like really saying anything, I don't know.
Well,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Have internally,
if Jeff Keighley doesn't say anything, I am 100% sure that someone who wins an award will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think somebody.
100% sure.
I think somebody
Joseph
will,
Barrett
regardless. I think regardless of Keeley saying something, I think something is said. I didn't mean to.
Center, whether it's a winner.
Do you think it comes from somebody that like wins a game for Activision Blizzard? Because we know that a lot of the devs have walked out, and now I know.
I don't think they win an award.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There's not a chance in hell they win an award.
And I think it's only Warzone they have up from that studio.
That's the only thing nominated.
Yeah.
That's the only game they make now, right? So
yeah, I mean they shut down all studios and put him on it. I would love it if he took the classic like Sean Layden approach, like how every time like Sean Layden would wear a shirt to his shows, like it was like, oh, he's wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt. Oh my god, what could this mean? But it's like literally Jeff. That way you have to see it. The entire like broadcast is him just with a like hashtag Bobby Kotick resigned shirt on or something like that. Like you have to see it the whole time.
I could see that. And then I can see a presenter or someone winning like nice shirt. Let's talk about that. You know, so I'm like I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I just feel like something is going to be said, and it's going to get a lot of reactions in the audience, and then it's gonna spiral from there.
Right.
But I do want to move on though, unless we're done.
Of course.
Unless we're not done.
Of course. No,
okay.
We're all good.
So I'm gonna read this category, and then I'm gonna go pee. So I'll give my 2 cents when I come back, but I need to pee. Best audio design. We have Deathloop. Forza
we already did
5.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah.
My bad.
We're on best.
My bad.
Music.
I really want to. really want to pee. Apparently, Jesus Christ. Give me a second. All right. Best art direction. You said.
Score music.
Score music. Got it. My bad. Okay, so we have The Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Nier Replicant version numbers. Okay, so you guys get your votes in, and then I will come back.
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like it's a shoo-in. The fact that not only they had all this licensed music for the game, but like the composer wrote a whole ass like rock album for it on top, and they're like in lore, that's how they're basing how Star-Lord got his name is fucking Star-Lord. Like that's dope. That's dope. And like the music slaps.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one, Josh, because it's one, they made period style music that they then added to how Star-Lord got his nickname, which is awesome.
Right.
2, they have this dope playlist of actual 80s music that you could just play on the ship whenever you want.
Right.
And then there's the also like randomized, like when you do the group huddle and you work your team up, any one of those songs will start playing, and that just really makes it feel like what we've come to expect from the Guardians movies, where you get this
Right.
really dope fight scene and action scene set to licensed music.
Right.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like
You gotta, Brett. You gotta.
I'm
Brett. It's
going
the
with
easy one.
I'm going with Guardians. Like, though, and I know it can be a crush sometimes, but I think obviously in this case, because of the comic book history, like utilizing licensed music, especially what they were able to get for this game, I thought was such a huge win. Let alone what you already said with the original music, which I've been streaming the game occasionally, and I've been doing streamer mode, which strips all the licensed stuff out. And I've been still bopping along with like all the in-house stuff that they've been able to create, and so that alone, I think, is a huge testament to the score and music. I do want to say, Cyberpunk 2077, out of any of the awards it's nominated, this is probably the one it deserves the most, just because the score and music, legit, I thought was pretty awesome, and definitely got me in the vibe when I did play that game. So I just want to shout that out because that was actually probably one of the few deserving awards.
Just to piggyback off that, for like fluidity's sake, that's what I was going to bring to the table. I do really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy. Starship, We Built This City is one of my favorite songs. The 80s song, We Built This City. Anyway, I think that Cyberpunk creating an entire world genre, like of music with all these different genres and the radio, every time you played it, there was like an entirely different vibe, and it felt like it really added to the world, and when you're driving around, it felt very lived in. Personally, I think Cyberpunk is the one that deserves it because I do feel like Marvel crutches itself very much on the licensed music. I know that the regular music is great, but is there 18 radio stations all with like a different vibe, and it all feels like like Cyberpunk pulled off GTA levels of like radio stations in this game. And I think I agree with Brett. Out of everything that they're nominated for, this is the thing that they deserve. That's all.
Is it just me now?
All right, awesome. Yep. Take it home.
In my mind, Cyberpunk 2077 is worthy. I think because of the game it will not win. I think just because of all the negative press around it, I think people are going to be like, they're literally going to look at that. Some people are going to be like, nope, that it's between 4 games. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to eliminate that game right away, which I feel is maybe not right, but I feel like that's just the reality we live in. In my mind, it is between the Artful Escape and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy will win. I think it is like Chance said before, it kind of leans on licensed music and that kind of stuff. But I just think I don't know. I feel like it's going to get the main mind share. People are going to read that category and be like, oh, Guardians, like without even seeing the nominees, the Guardians are going to pop in their head. So my vote is for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's a good point. That like I think we've just all kind of subconsciously put good soundtracks and Guardians in the same place though, between the movies. So now we're just gonna go, no, it's like in the game too.
Thank you, James Gunn.
Thank you, James Gunn. All right,
you've done so much for us.
Best art direction. I thought I clicked on the wrong one again because The Artful Escape is here again as a nomination, and then Deathloop and Kena Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Who do you think?
I gotta go Ratchet because it literally looks like a Pixar film. Like it's incredible, and it's like bringing that old PS2 art style, but back on the PS5, and like now we're at the point where you can like literally see every single like fur on Ratchet's back. Like it's incredible, and you go to all these different worlds, and each of them feel unique and so alive, and with just all these uniquely designed creatures, and it's incredible. I gotta go Ratchet.
Yeah, I'm with Josh on this. I also think it's Ratchet. It does look like a Pixar film, and I know that you could say the same thing about Kena, but I think that Ratchet and Clank is a little bit more out there and whimsical, so it gets 100%. To show it off more. And then on top of that, with the whole parallel dimensions thing, is they had a chance to redesign things that we were somewhat familiar with. Like we have Mrs. Zircon instead of Mr. Zircon.
Yeah, that's a great point. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they kind of get the remix. You get the different version of Dr. Nefarious, and like
Mhm.
his counterpart honestly looks like Ultron, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like they still got to like change him up. Rivet is, I would say, a very one to Ratchet, but then it's also then you have Kit, and then the way that she can evolve from the small form to the big form. Like there's a lot of art going on there, and then also the Mortys and the monks. I just think had a very cool design to them, and each planet has its own
100%.
personality.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Plus, shout out to the alternate universe Quark. That dude was
True.
awesome when he showed up. Yeah, I got a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah. So out of all the awards, it's literally the award for like essentially best graphics, or the closest comparison to that. And I mean, by far and away, Ratchet and Clank is the most technically impressive game. I think out of any game that's nominated, maybe Cyberpunk, but maybe not really. Yeah, even though I got bullied off of playing Ratchet and Clank by Josh,
You didn't get bullied off.
I'm gonna return to it someday. And what I did play, like it blows you away with how good it looks and how good it runs too. In terms of the technical achievement, like it runs great. So many different options for performance, fidelity, all that stuff. Yeah, and the animation style too is fantastic. It's such a fluid game. So I'm going with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Did we all vote for Ratchet and Clank? I didn't vote yet, but did the three of you vote for Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to go different now.
Yeah,
I feel bad for the
other
Artful
Pixar.
Escape. I feel bad for the Artful Escape because it got nominated for like 3 or 4 categories, and I don't think it's going to win any of them, unfortunately.
I think it's too divisive.
Yeah, I just think it gets the short end of the stick on a lot of these. I think Deathloop has a really dope aesthetic. I think that shouldn't be undervalued. I think that it could be a dark horse in this category. I think it has a really unique look that I don't see in games often. Kena Bridge of Spirits, my favorite part about that game, I reviewed it for 6-1, was the art direction, because that game is also, like, I think Jordan brought this up, it's also like a Pixar film. And I think Ratchet and Clank does it better, but I do think that Kena does it more flashier and more creative ways, and I really enjoyed that. That was my favorite aspect of the entire game, was the art direction and how it looked.
That's your prediction?
No, my personal vote would be for Kena. My actual vote is for Psychonauts 2, because I think people are gonna give love to Tim Schafer, and I think that they're finally gonna be like, "Here's your dues on all the years you put into this game and all that stuff." And I just think it's not going to win any other categories. I know it's up for a major category coming up. I just don't think it's going to win. So I think people are going to vote for it on this category, because this is a more like the mainstream. No, not a chance. I don't think Psychonauts would get it, but because it's more like industry people voting for it, I think they're going to vote for Tim Schafer here and give it to Psychonauts 2 and the studio. I don't want to just say Tim Schafer, but yeah.
I agree.
So my vote is for Psychonauts 2.
I agree with Austin for all the same reasons. I really think Tim Schafer is somebody who deserves some sort of award in the industry's eyes, because he is kind of a genius when it comes to video games. And yeah, Austin nailed it.
I also want to add that Psychonauts 2, the art direction, didn't do it for me personally, but I think anyone playing that game, it's obvious they had a clear vision for what they were making artistically, and they went for it and they nailed it. It just wasn't something that worked for me personally, but that there are certain levels in that game that I think are really eye-catching and really like just creatively created, I guess. And it just they excel in this category. So that is what I'm going with. Moving on. Give me a second. Best narrative. We have Deathloop again. It Takes Two again. Life is Strange: True Colors again. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy again. And Psychonauts 2 again. Anyone want to take this one away?
I'll start.
Okay.
So I'm going to vote for Guardians again on this one, because I think the narrative is really the best part of that game. Like, I've talked a lot of good stuff about the game so far, but it has a decent amount of bugs. And I think that there's also a fair argument to be made that the combat can get a little bit repetitive, and the gameplay loop is a little straightforward. But the narrative is what keeps you going, both from learning about the character's past and how it differs from the MCU versions that we've all come to know, and the I'm trying to say stuff that doesn't spoil points of the game, but the kind of driving force as to why they want to do what they're going to do in this game, and how it actually does all start to come down really just on them because they know about the Church of the Truth or whatever it's called. So like I think that the narrative is what keeps you going because it does this really good balance of flashbacks and going into what everybody's personal wants are and this idea of fear and staying in a world in which you're comfortable in, even if you know it's the wrong one. Like it just touches on a lot of great points. And I think that the narrative is the best part of that game by far.
I will piggyback off that, and I will also say Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Psychonauts 2, that narrative for me personally didn't do it. It might be because I never played the first one. There were a lot of characters in that game, and I think if it were to win a narrative-ish focused award, I think it would have been in Games for Impact, just because they tackle a lot of serious topics in that game. Um, Life is Strange: True Colors, I can see winning. Like if that wins, I would not be surprised. It Takes Two, I don't think the best part about the game is the narrative. I think they try for for the narrative to kind of jump out and hit you in different ways, and I think it's successful at that. I just think that the other games on this panel do it better. It tackles like divorce and a failed marriage, and that, like I think that's strong too. But and then Deathloop, I think the narrative is hit or miss for a lot of people on Deathloop. I'm actually kind of shocked that that's here. Um, but yeah, I'm just overly surprised by how balanced, how well Guardians of the Galaxy balanced all the characters that were in that game and how they went into depth. I've said this before for another category, but yeah, I was mostly surprised by every aspect of the game, and narrative is one of those aspects. So Guardians of the Galaxy is my vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Guardians too. I feel like I keep jumping on. I mean, I guess there's only so many things to pick, but I haven't even finished the game, and Jordan brought this up, like especially when you're going off existing material, the way that you're able to differentiate a story and world while keeping some of those elements true to what we all know and love about them, but still make it unique in its own right, I think is super hard to do. And so I want to give that game huge credit for that. I also think that certain things like the timing of this release, like it's still kind of a fresh game, so it's going to be still carrying that hype a little
It
bit.
definitely has a recency bias.
And the fact that it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, and I know a lot of people were kind of
Shocked.
miffed about that. And
Hate
so,
it.
Yeah, this is
Should
the
be
closest
there.
to Game of the Year it's going to win.
It should be there, and I want to say a game that shouldn't be in Game of the Year, but I would give away what I'm not voting for, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
I-
say what you say, what shouldn't be there when we get there.
yeah, Deathloop was hit or miss for some people. It Takes Two, not the strongest part of the game. Psychonauts, not mainstream. And I feel like Life is Strange is going to win other awards. And I don't know, I just, whenever I look at awards, they always bounce out somewhat. And I feel like this is the big award that Guardians is going to get, beyond like the music stuff, which isn't as surprising. Like, this is going to be the big award. So I think they're going to win Best Narrative. And like you said, Jordan, like I haven't even beaten the game. I've only played like half of it. It's been so strong already. And like Jordan, other people say it gets even better. Like that to me is a huge testament in terms of also twists and stuff like that, allegedly. So that I think is a huge testament to that.
I'm not going to like, just as a comparison, I personally wouldn't say that it's a better story than like Spider-Man PS4, but I almost expected Spider-Man PS4 to go places. I couldn't predict what, but I knew that there were going to be emotional moments. I did not expect that from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it fucking delivered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I felt like there was more intricate things to cover and successfully possibly fail at in Guardians, and I don't think they
That as
failed
well.
in a lot of categories. I think they surprisingly like came out the other end like positive on most aspects of the narrative.
Fuck, that game was good.
Yeah, I gotta go with Guardians of the Galaxy
Damn.
as well. I feel like just based off everything you guys said, but like, yeah, narrative isn't really the strongest thing in It Takes Two, and from what I've heard from Deathloop, a lot of people like prefer the moment-to-moment gameplay as opposed to the narrative, and the narrative's kind of just the backdrop. So I feel like in terms of best standout, I think I gotta go with Guardians of the Galaxy based off everything y'all said.
So just for diversity's sake, I will say that personally, like, you know, I do appreciate Guardians, and I do think it deserves to win this. I think it was a tall glass to fill, making us fall in love with these Guardians, but I can like very confidently say I like more than half the Guardians more in the video game than I do in the movies, and those are some of my favorite Marvel movies, so that says a lot. Specifically Gamora, I think that they just expertly nail. But I will say, while I was playing Deathloop, the interactions that the characters were having up until the end, I kind of found a little disappointing considering what they were building to. I did find the interactions between the two leads very interesting, and you have all of the visionaries added into that, and you discover more about them. I thought the narrative was really, really good in Deathloop. I am one of those people that thought it was above and beyond. But I am also one of those people that's reading the letters that are being sent around, and kind of putting together what's been going on in the timeline and everything as you're playing. I had a lot of fun with Deathloop's narrative.
Piggybacking off of the Deathloop thing, I think they wanted that final moment between the two to hit harder, and I think that's the main reason why it didn't do it for me. I think the build up, it was clearly leading, because the time mechanic on that is leading to this one moment, and I just feel like that one moment kind of fell short for me, and that's why as a whole the narrative led to something that just it kind of dipped off. And I think you touched on that anyway, Chance, but yeah. The moment didn't do it for me.
Yeah, same.
I think one of the other things with Deathloop, and I'll say this without mentioning any spoilers, is the interactions between the characters happen at the start of each loop. And because everybody's going to die a different amount of times and at different points in what you've locked and unlocked, it almost doesn't feel like a narrative. It feels almost like there is it's kind of like those things when like the characters have a bunch of predetermined things to say that they'll say randomly to just add as into the game. And I'm not saying that that's what it was, but it can very easily come off like that because of the points at which they speak. So I feel like you don't fully absorb the narrative just by listening to that.
No, I'm with you. I do want to move on, but I think Deathloop has both of those. I think they understand that you're going to die a bunch of times. That's like that is the game you're supposed to. It's designed that way. So I do, in my experience, I know I experience voice lines from said characters that were clearly just goofs. Clearly, just they realized you died a bunch of times, and they're like, "Here's a voice line to try to cheer you up and get you a little chipper." And it's just like a funny one-off thing. But then they also had lines that were at the beginning of your loops that were designed to be placed there for a reason to progress the story. I think,
but because they don't fully differentiate from each other, I feel like your
think
mind
they did, but
doesn't. Yeah, to an extent.
in the place where they both fall under the same umbrella on where they are shown to you, I can see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, moving on to the second to last category, we have Best Game Direction. Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. I almost said Lift Apart. Yeah. So
this is Deathloop without a shadow of a doubt. Sorry, I have to get that out there.
Yep. Yeah, that is my vote as well. I'm also voting for Deathloop. I want to vote for It Takes Two here, but I feel like if Deathloop doesn't win, it's going to be It Takes Two, just because of the co-op focus, that the couch co-op, like that's what they do. They do couch co-op, and that like the balls to do that and have it be like this key experience, this key part of the experience, I think is very well done. I can see Returnal maybe winning if people are like feeling a little bit like sorry for them because they're like, you should have been the game of the year, so I'm going to give you the best game direction kind of thing. Yeah. So, but my vote's for Deathloop.
This is where I think Tim Schafer takes it home. Between like all the games announced here, we kind of have like two like well-known faces behind these games. We have Joseph Ferris on It Takes Two and Tim Schafer on Psychonauts, and I think just having a Double Fine game come out in 2021 and this game being like in development for so long and coming out and being kind of like a triumphant moment for both Xbox and Tim Schafer and Double Fine, I think is incredible, and I think they did some great things with everything I've seen from that game. So I got to go Tim Schafer and Psychonauts.
All right.
I'm gonna go.
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go. It Takes Two, because I don't think it's gonna win Game of the Year, and the caliber of that game deserves a big award, and so I think the voters are gonna give it Best Game Direction, especially for all the different varied gameplay that we all said was the best part about that game, and not the actual narrative. And so I think it's gonna get this award.
So I'm also gonna go for It Takes Two. I don't think it's going to be Deathloop because I think while we've all kind of disagreed as to what it is, I think we've all agreed that there is something about Deathloop that doesn't hit the same highs that its best aspects do. And when I think of best game direction, I think it has to be a relative combo of everything doing well. And on top of that, I just think everybody loves Joseph Ferris enough that they're like, "You are the
Yeah.
best game director. You made this game might not have the best game direction, but you're the best game director, and we want to hear you go off on the Oscars." So come up here and give a speech, bitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think kind of like the face behind a lot of these games does add to like people's voting, and so that's why like it came down to Tim Schafer or Joseph Ferris for me, because those are just such personalities behind the games, and their personality bleeds into the game and it comes through in the narrative and the gameplay, and it's incredible.
Okay. Has everyone
Mhm.
voted for this category? Are we on to the big
We
kahoni?
are. Yeah.
Game
Top dog.
of the year. Deathloop. It Takes Two. Metroid Dread. Psychonauts 2. Ratchet and Clank, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Resident Evil Village. Josh, I'm sorry. Village does not need to be here. I'm sorry. It doesn't.
I love Village. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, but I 100% agree. Like I
Brett.
played that game once. I
Don't
love
you
it.
dare say this to me.
Brett, I'm sorry. Metroid Dread does not belong on this list.
Get out.
I'm saying it right now. I'll leave my
Wow.
host.
Now, what would you have replaced them with?
Yeah. Well,
I haven't even
obviously-
played Metroid Dread, but I know it deserves to be on this list. Like that
Thank
game,
you.
that game is a 10
Hey.
out of 10 from everything I've seen.
I could take out Metroid Dread and Resident Evil Village and put one of 3 games. I could put Forza. I could put Returnal.
Yeah.
I could put
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
You asked the question, I answered. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big snubs. Big snubs.
I'm going to lay it all on the line and say It Takes Two. I don't think it's going to happen, but I love this game so much. So I want on the record that I support this game. I support this studio. I support that crazy motherfucker, Joseph Ferris, and I love his vision for games. So It Takes Two is my vote. I would not be shocked if Deathloop takes it.
So the big question every year is, what do you define as game of the year? Is it best game of the year? Is it the game that kind of took over in the year? Like there was kind of an argument last year of, well, should it be Animal Crossing because it was just so tied into the events of that year. And I kind of think it needs to be a mixture of both, somewhere in between. And even though I've never played anything in this franchise, just based off the conversation about it alone, both from the kind of what people that have said about it in positives and the fact that it's a franchise that is coming back, I'm gonna just say Metroid Dread just because of the conversation around it.
Here's
And
the thing.
Austin, I'm kind of with you. I kind of look at all these games and I go, none of them seem game of the year material.
I didn't say that. let's not.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't.
said
I
I'm
didn't say
kind
that.
of with you.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
like,
That's
I'm
fair.
not saying none of these are good games. Like none of them seem like it's not like 2018 where you have banger after banger. Like I feel like if some of these
Yeah.
games came out in different years, they wouldn't have made this list.
100%.
I mean, Deathloop got a 10. It Takes Two, I think, got a 9. I could be wrong. So
It was
Metroid Dread got a 9, 8.
I just think because it's
Nines
a
and
30-year-old year franchise that is coming back after like 18 years, I think, was when Fusion came out.
I think
And
Metroid
people
Dread
that
is
are-
always, or Metroid as a franchise always kind of gets like the unpopular treatment. Like there's a lot of diehard fans. Don't get me wrong, but like in terms of sales, like this is the best selling one by far. If I'm not
Yeah, but I think you
mistaken.
put any franchise on the Switch and it becomes the best-selling version of that
that's
franchise.
that's even more saying. That's even more supporting what I'm saying is that I don't think there are enough fans out there to make this win, but it is an industry vote, so maybe
The way I see it, Austin, is imagine if Half-Life 3 finally came out and people went,
different though.
this is really good, because
That's
maybe
different.
Half-Life is a little bit more mainstream than Metroid Dread, but it's something that we haven't thought about in so long. They're finally giving us this sequel after well, not us, because again, I don't play, but they finally put out a sequel after people thought it would never happen, and it managed to be like living up to their expectations.
Okay. All right.
Plus, I just got to go for what I think is going to get me points.
Okay, Brett, go ahead. Piggyback off that.
Yeah. Man, I didn't expect anybody else to say Metroid Dread for Game of the Year, so I'm shook. Yeah, like just remembering what we said in our spoiler cast. It's by far the best Metroid game ever made, in my opinion.
I intend to play it. I haven't played it yet, but I do intend to play it.
Yeah, I just think it nails everything across the board. I mean, I think for a Switch game, it's visually stunning. Like it looks amazing, especially on a big 4K screen, especially on the new OLED Switch model. It just looks amazing. And then a big part about playing a video game is the gameplay. And I think this game not only is the best gameplay of any Metroid game, it might be one of the best games you could ever play in terms of the response and feel of how the game plays. It just is so smooth. Great performance, Lock 60. Great storytelling, not only with the hard narrative, with some twists and turns for the overall Metroid story, but environmental storytelling and things like that. It's just such an incredible game. And like Jordan said, there's a reason why like people got gassed up over it getting announced, let alone it coming out, and let alone it being great. Like again, in our spoiler cast, like everyone there who was a pretty good Metroid fan or someone who had played a lot of them in the past, and all of our standards were so high because this was such an anticipated sequel to a game that came out 18 years ago. The fact that it surpassed everybody's expectations, I think, is credit to how good that game is. And yeah, that's why I think it's deserving to be on this list, and I think why it has a good chance of winning. So I'm going to go with Metroid Dread.
Why do we think it? Because a lot of these games on this list got nominated for a bunch of categories, whereas Metroid Dread, I think there was only like one or two more besides Game of the Year. So that's why my gut tells me, because it wasn't nominated for a bunch of categories, it won with Game of the Year. That's not. Oh, it's not necessarily the case, but like I don't know. My gut tells me that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think. I mean, without going through each category and why it didn't get nominated, I think, like I said, it's visually stunning for the Switch, but it's not gonna win any like graphics or things like that. The narrative, while it's really cool and interesting, and a lot of it's great environmental storytelling, it's not going to be emotionally. It's not going to be emotionally gripping as like Guardians or any of the other games that got nominated. So yeah, that's why I think it didn't get nominated for a couple. Not multiplayer, things like that, all that stuff.
And again, I think that's what I meant when I said like sometimes it's more about the conversation than it is about the game itself.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw like people on Twitter talking about it, and then a few people were like saying negative things, and that stood out, that a few people were not hot on it, that I think that's another credit to how good this game is. If you see like the few people standing out saying it's not good.
Also, let's not forget that Guardians and Metroid Dread were announced during E3 and came out less than 6 months later.
Didn't they come out around the same time too? Weren't they in the same month? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dread was like
for both of them.
Dread was the 8th, and I think Guardians was like the 25th or
something like that. Yeah, crazy. Josh?
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted between Deathloop or Ratchet and Clank. I like Ratchet. I might have to like Ratchet just being a PlayStation 2 like mascot franchise brought back to life in 2021, and like they rebooted it in 2016, and this just improved on that original reboot in so many different ways and did so many unique things with the PS5 and really showed off that hardware. Like they deserve it, and like they're firing on all fronts. They got Wolverine, Spider-Man 2 coming up, but I feel like that's where they're finally gonna get the recognition they deserve. And I think I gotta go with Deathloop just based on the fact that it's a brand new IP. Everyone was ranting and raving when it came out.
It got tens
back in September. Yeah, literally got tens, and I think
Arcane
Metroid might have got. Yeah, Arcane absolutely deserves it. Like they're up there too. And when people talk about like the best studios that these publishers own, like a lot of people go to Insomniac for PlayStation, and a lot of people go to Arcane for Xbox because these guys just pump out the best games, some of the best games in the industry on a regular basis, and it's incredible to see. But like, I feel like Ratchet had its moment and then kind of like went away quickly. Versus like Deathloop stayed in the conversation because of like the interactive component and the fact that you could infiltrate other people's worlds, and like people were like, cool. Yo, like add me, like and try to infiltrate my world, try to kill me. Like there's a social element to it that I think kept it relevant a little while longer.
I personally think it fell off pretty quick because I ended up playing that game like maybe a month after it came out. Like I was a little bit later on it, and I remember going, "Hey, I'm playing it." Someone tried to invade my game. I think people tried like twice. Like almost nobody that I'm like friends with, like on PlayStation, was still playing that game, still trying to invade people's worlds. And I remember, like, had I done that 2 weeks in advance, I'd have people that only know me over Twitter getting into my game just to fuck with me. Like, it sounded like everybody was doing it for everyone, and then I don't know, maybe nobody likes me.
Here's the thing I will say, because you're talking about between Deathloop and Ratchet and Clank. I think the hype for Ratchet and Clank brought it down more than the hype for Deathloop. Because I think Deathloop was kind of like this unknown quantity in a way, where like we know Arcane's good, but we don't like this is kind of the new thing for them. And
I feel like the narrative with Deathloop and Arcane was what Josh said, is like people know they're a great studio. They didn't get the recognition for all their past games, and this is the one that's going to culminate in. But I don't know.
I just think Ratchet and Clank, I think the hype for that kind of killed it, because we had all this, like all the Rift stuff, like we had a bunch of hype around that, like, oh, it's like a completely different thing simultaneously, like all this rendering, blah blah blah, and then in practice it was cool, but not as cool as we expected. At least that's what the experience was for me. So I feel like if you're comparing the two, they're pretty much even, except for the fact that the hype for Ratchet and Clank was higher, and then it under-delivered a little bit, if that makes sense.
I played Skyward Sword HD right after I played Ratchet and Clank, and there's a level in that game that is a exact copy of what Ratchet and Clank did, and that was a Wii game. So don't tell me it's the power of the SSD.
That's what I mean. That's kind of
what
I'm
saying,
right?
Like,
Brett knows what I'm talking about.
I do want to say, like, that loading stuff is stuff we don't notice when it's executed properly. Like, you're not like, oh my gosh, this is only 2 seconds instead of 8. Like, oh my, like it just is so seamless that we just it just becomes less noticeable.
I had loading screens in Deathloop. I don't know, like,
no, we're talking about Ratchet.
Okay, but in Ratchet, there still was ways where they hid loading screens, because every time you would go to a planet, there was still that animation of the ship going there. That was like, you're hiding a loading screen.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, in terms of like the marketing though, like we saw Deathloop so much before it came out that I was kind of like over it by the time it did come out, and so that's what I feel like killed it, was just the oversaturation of it. But it's difficult. I think I gotta go with Deathloop in the end though. Just to
It Takes Two, let's go. It Takes Two, let's go.
But I like, out of everyone here, like I would vote for Ratchet and Clank personally. That's my personal pick.
Gotcha. Okay. I went on record that if I lose by 1 point, I would have said Deathloop. I'm doubling down on It Takes Two to show my support.
I went on record, if Metroid Dread wins Game of the Year, Austin has to face some sort of punishment. I don't know what it is yet.
Wow.
We'll workshop it.
He has to buy everyone at Shared Screens a copy of Metroid Dread.
It's a lot of money. I'm planning a wedding. No. I'll buy one copy and force you guys to mail it to each other.
I'm just gonna emulate
traveling Metroid Dread.
For sure. I do. If he's still awake, I want Chance's vote on this. If he is,
I think he went the Metroid Dread, didn't he?
Did he?
I want to give Metroid Dread a shout out. I do think that it is worthy of the win here. Personally, I think it's going to be Deathloop, just because of the way that they had the whole direction of the game and the time loop gimmick, and the way that they executed on it, I think is something that the industry overall is going to love. But then again, I can also see a argument for It Takes Two, because so many people in the industry played that with friends over online. And so I feel like between those three, it's pretty locked down. My personal votes and who I think it's going to be is Deathloop.
I think that wraps it up. I think we did it.
Yeah.
I think we did it, guys.
We
So
did it.
we are not experts. We probably got a ton of these wrong because that's how the Game Awards go. But
Who do you think?
I wish all of us luck, but I hope I win.
Who do we think did the worst?
Jordan. Why?
Damn.
Don't know.
I
My
think
fantasy critic.
I think
That's literally what my brain went.
I might have a low score here. I went with my heart on a lot of the stuff here.
You'll lose, but you'll be proud. You'll be proud of your loss.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, here's the thing. If Chance beats any of us because he only voted on like a fourth of them, something wrong.
That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, percentage wise, like amount of correct.
Yeah, or even if all of the ones I had input on end up being correct.
If Cyberpunk wins any award, then Chance wins.
Best RPG, man.
Dude,
This is all happy as
yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Well, yeah. So do I then, because I also said best RPG Cyberpunk. So
Josh also wins by default.
That's right.
Yeah,
You did say that.
in fact, yeah. In fact, I said it before. Chance just doubled down on it. So
Yeah, that was the one that I agreed with Brett on, which is so weird. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
all right, I'm calling it. Everyone have a great night. That's been our TTA episode. Bye bye.